Hey, it's me. There's something strange and familiar about being here, alive in a body, aware that underneath it all, something bigger is moving through us. And I think about this a lot, the way it feels like we're isolated, sometimes even cut off from ourselves, groping around in the dark. When somewhere deeper, way down at the center, there's this quiet core that never really goes away. Some people call it the real self or soul. Others just feel it as a sense of peace that shows up when the rest falls away. Whatever you call it, it's there. And even when the mind feels split, that core hasn't left. Most days, though, we don't notice. We wake up, go through routines, react to what's in front of us, and try to get by. There's a sense that something is missing, but it's hard to put a finger on what that is. The mind tries to make sense of things, but they can't quite grasp the whole picture. I don't think this is a personal failing, it's just the way things are built. Life spreads out, fragments, and each fragment tries to find its way back. We all carry problems, things we haven't resolved, places in us that feel sore or raw. Sometimes they're loud, and sometimes they just sit in the background as a vague tension. The old words for these things might have been sin or karma, but really it's just the unfinished business of being human. It's the places where we feel apart from ourselves. Healing is less about fixing and more about noticing that connection that's always been there and letting it reach the parts of us that forgot. There's a bigger movement behind all this. It's like life is constantly pushing out, reaching into new spaces, then coming back to itself over and over. You could call this an evolutionary process or the long arc of growing up, personally, spiritually, even across lifetimes. Each time we go out and return, something grows a little wider, a little deeper. The whole thing keeps moving, whether we're aware of it or not. And then there's this idea that before we show up in a body, we get a sense of what still needs attention, what's left unfinished. We make a kind of agreement with ourselves. I'll try to work with this next time. The parts of us that need healing get sent into this life, into this particular body, family, and place. The heaviness and slowness of material life give us a chance to notice what we might miss otherwise. Things feel more solid here, more stuck. But that's part of the point. It helps us focus. Not every struggle is the same. Some people have bigger challenges, some have smaller ones. And even when you meet someone whose life looks totally different from yours, underneath it all, there is a shared thread: love, wisdom, beauty, and all the qualities we sometimes glimpse on our best days. The task is always the same: to find our way back to that core, wherever we've drifted off. Here's something I wish more of us knew. It's not about forcing yourself to be all light or pretending you've already become whole or you're already whole when you feel split. The work happens right in the middle of whatever feels most difficult. It's not about focusing only on the parts of yourself that already feel at peace. The uncomfortable, hidden, or rejected bits, those are the places where change really happens. Death and the way that we think about it is tangled up with all of this. People usually see birth as a beginning and death as an end. But if you flip it, you might notice that the way we die shapes the way we're born. When someone lives out what they came here to do, when the inside and outside come together, the process of dying is gentle. It's not full of fear. The body lets go, the energy pulls in, and the person slips into something larger and freer. If you've ever watched someone die with a sense of peace, you might know what I'm talking about. It's not about wishing for death or dreading it. It's just a sense that nothing is wasted, that everything is in its place. A lot of us, most of us really, don't get there so easily. If we avoid the work, if we run from the signals life gives us, those tugs of discontent or longing, things get noisy inside. We chase distractions, fill our lives with surface fixes, or try to drown out the feeling that something's off. That can look like anxiety, depression, or just a general sense of, is this all there is? Sometimes people think resolving their struggles means their life will be over, as if suffering is what keeps us alive. That's not true. Life gets fuller after the biggest wounds start to heal, because what you've learned turns into something you can give. You don't need to be a saint or some highly developed soul to fulfill your purpose here. Even someone who's not very aware can live out what they came here to do, as long as they're working within what's possible for them. The real struggle tends to come for people who sense more, who have big potential but are holding back, hiding, or fighting themselves. Sometimes the more you can see, the harder it is to bring those pieces together. It's easy to get lost, to make choices that set you down a path where turning around feels impossible. But I want to say this as clearly as I can. Just because you feel stuck, or like you're failing, or you're facing another round of the same old stuff, it doesn't mean you're lost for good. Being willing to see where you're off track and to take even one honest step is enough to start turning things around. Sometimes we need a whole new setting or even a whole new life to keep learning. But even then, nothing is wasted. It's all figured out in a way the mind can't grasp, though. Every relationship, every meeting, every loss, every help, every challenge. There's a kind of logic to it that doesn't make sense from the outside, but you feel it in quiet moments. Here's what I keep coming back to. If you want to know how close you are to living out what you came here to do, check in with how much peace you feel inside. Fear, restlessness, that constant itch for something more, these are signals, not punishments. They're the soul's way of calling you home. If you can sit with them, listen, and ask honestly, what am I not facing? What part of me have I left behind? That's the start of the bridge back. When you're in a hard spot, it's natural to believe there's no way out, that your pain or hopelessness is all there is. The mind locks in and every thought circles the same problem. Even when it's hard to believe, there's always a part of you that's not caught in that spiral. If you can step back, even for a moment, and simply wonder, is there more to me than this pain? Is there some other way to look at this? You open a crack in the wall. And over time, those cracks let in more light. Sometimes the hardest thing is just to realize you're identifying completely with the problem. I know, I've been there. You start to believe that the part of you that feels lost is the whole of who you are. It's not. There's something steadier underneath, even if it feels out of reach. The way back is not about fixing everything at once or pretending to be enlightened. It's about facing the hardest spots, asking different questions, and being willing to let the mind soften. When you do, the energy from that quiet, steady center can start to move again. And you might feel, even in small ways, that you're not as separate as you thought. And that's where the real change starts. Love you. Connect soon.